you're damned if you don't when
Yeah.
you're that age. And I feel like all the girls are struggling with that, but they're also in this like this bubble too of sort of seeing it in each other and allowing that to kind of impact how they view themselves.
Mm,
And that's all point of the like, messed up learning experience that is this
yeah.
island.
Yeah.
Um, but it's so interesting. Let's just talk about female relationships for a minute
Yeah.
because I love how the show just really puts on display all the beautiful female relationships in all its forms, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like Tony, we see the backstory of a few female relationships in Tony's life and how they've kind of shaped her and
Mm,
sort of how there's sort of too like I feel like Tony needs sort of a new perspective a little bit. Like she's really in it because she puts her whole heart into everything.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah, for
gosh.
sure.
Yeah, can you talk about her
Yeah.
relationships and with Martha as well and just
Yeah,
how that kind of impacts Tony?
for sure. I mean, like, you see her and Tony's a yeah, rough around the edges, ferocious young woman.
Mm-hmm.
But then you see that beautiful, that trust and that loyalty and that connection that she has with Martha. And I think, you know, where her strength really lies is in those meaningful relationships. Like, she doesn't trust a lot of people. She doesn't have a lot of people on her side, but the people that she does have are,
Mm-hmm.
they're your rocks. You can't go through, no matter who you are, like through your life alone. And I think through also her relationships with with the women on the island, each and every one of them like find their power in themselves through their relationships with these other women.
Yeah.
Um, I think about Dot and Fatten, couldn't be more different. And they
Mm-hmm.
just like find this beautiful power in this
Mm-hmm.
friendship that they formed. And similarly with Tony and Shelby. And because I've been thinking a little bit about like the concept of the show and like, removing men and the male gaze and male influence and like having this
Mm-hmm.
pure like female utopia in a sense. And
Mm-hmm.
there's for sure there is value in that because you got to move to the other side of the conversation in order to you know negate all of that. But I think really rather than this female utopia, what it really is about is highlighting that female relationships void of competition, void of any of these other things that where women have been pitted against each other,
Yeah.
but through like strength together, as corny as it sounds, like that's
No, but it's
where,
true. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. And like I feel that in my life as well. I feel most sort of like empowered and lifted up through my relationships.
Exactly. And I think seeing it in that way, seeing relationships not as competitive, like you said, but as, I don't know, like as in, providing strength, providing comfort. And I couldn't help but like relate it to like what everyone's gone through this past year too. And I think
Mm,
that, and a lot of women, we've had to evaluate a lot of our friendships, I think, and say to ourselves too, like, are we giving enough to this relationship?
yeah,
Or are we not
yeah,
getting enough in this relationship? Could we be a better friend? Could we be a better daughter? Could we be a better partner? And asking these questions that I think that there is some privilege that comes along with, or like a silver lining that comes along with these situations like being stranded on an island and
yeah,
being quarantined with someone or like
yeah. Well, I think that's why the setting of like the island is it's such a useful like storytelling tool because it rips open your good, your bad, and your ugly for it to be fleshed
Mhm.
out so immediately. And in any other situation when you meet somebody, you'll get there eventually. They'll see all your demons eventually. But I feel like
Yeah.
it just it just throws these women in it. You know what? It could totally explode in their faces, and there are some moments through episodes where it does. Um, but then like riding through all of that, and I know what you mean, like through lockdown and this quarantine situation. I
Yeah.
feel like, at least my life, I feel like I've sort of like minimized down to like, okay, so what matters to me? It's like, the people that
Mhm.
matter. It's like eating nice food, going for a
Mhm.
walk, like it all just gets so
Mhm.
simplified down and
Mhm.
assessing what and who like brings you
Yeah.
most strength in your life.
Exactly, exactly. And I feel like, and that's what we're starting to see, and that's what's really interesting. And I think it's really cool too that there's never a moment on the island where it's like, oh, we don't have any men to help us build this, or we don't have any men to help us catch fish or food or like do this. And I was just thinking about that, but it's never, what's so lovely about the show though is it's never nothing is ever pointed to. And you know what I mean? It's all
For
just,
sure.
that's where I think the writing comes in, the strength of the writing and the character development, because it's never like, oh, look, I'm a woman and I'm badass on this island. Watch me go. I'm so tough. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't need exactly what you're saying. Like, it doesn't have to be so on the nose when like someone needs to be carried somewhere or something needs to be built or, you know, these, and, you know, traditionally masculine roles need to be filled. It's like, it just happens. And it's almost like after you watch it, it's like like a little, you know, something that sort of comes into your mind after the fact, which, yeah, I mean, that's Sarah Stryker. She has, done a magic job of, you know, writing all of these 9 stories about these young women. Like, they're so, I could talk about it for days. Just,
yeah, no, it's
she's an
like, me too.
amazing
It's
woman.
like, no, it's so true. And it's like, damn. And I just think too, for just young women, there's like not enough content that's, you know, out there, I think, for young women at such an impressionable age. And that also doesn't have to do with sort of like social media. I feel like a lot of content, it's important to talk about social media and its impact. And I think, you know, the show touches upon it a little bit, but it's not the focus because they don't have phones. They don't have that access. So I feel like it's so refreshing to actually see a group of sort of teenage women together, not focusing on the outside world and truly focusing on each other, their relationships, and learning from each other. And I feel like we rarely get to see that on screen. And obviously, like you mentioned, like placing this show on a deserted island, you know, is such a brilliant way to sort of do that. And it just gets me thinking, like, I wish that it's like, it makes me nostalgic for a time when films and television could be about young women without having that noise of like today's society.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because we had so many conversations as well, and thinking about like what are the biggest challenges that, you know, young women face in the society, you know, in today's society, and thinking about, obviously, you know, social media plays a really big part of it. But I think, as you said, like in the show, which is something I'm just sort of coming to now, like obviously your phone here plays a big part, but then you have to put that down, and then you're with yourself, and obviously, you know, you're taking in a lot of content, and that influences decisions or choices or whatever. But at the end of the day, you put that down, like you're still you're still trying to grow up, you're still trying to figure out who you are, and that is a massive challenge in itself, like without any of the other layers, just going through that process. I mean, I know I've had my moments with my family. They've dealt with me at my 15, 16-year-old, you know, and I'm only 21, so I'm still figuring stuff out. Oh yeah, it's a tiring.
And I hate to say it, it's like I said, and I'm still figuring it. I feel like that's the like, hate to break it to everyone watching, but the island never ends. So just kidding. No, but I think it's all about too being in these situations where I think it's not like funny haha, but it's lovely to see too that it's very I'm not explaining this well, but like right off the bat in the show, we understand that it's like these women didn't necessarily face like, it's like they start talking about trauma and what that word means, right? Which means something different to everyone. But it's like they also experienced this you know, event together that bonded them. They start to talk about too how it's not, they're forming relationships, leaning on each other. Maybe these aren't necessarily friendships, but they're meaningful relationships nonetheless. And it's like, I'm so curious to see where the series goes in terms of like how this has impacted the women that went through this and how they sort of feel about it, and those conflicting feelings of like, that's really messed up that I was sent to this, that I was put in this position, but yet it made me grow in this way. I mean, how conflicting.
Like how, what like level of self-reflection you have to be like, whew, pretty messed up what happened, but am I better for it? Maybe, you know, like that's I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if they should, or, you know, I'm like, because as I said, like all these women are coming off. Like what I want for Tony is like, you know, I wanted to hold on to her spirit and her fire, because I think it's like one of the most special things about her is this like untamable spirit. But I want her to like stop fighting, you know, like fighting with herself and fighting with everyone around, and just to sort of like feel settled in that spirit. And I don't know, I'm seeing her life on the island being able to do that for her, because everywhere else in her life, what she's been taught to do is to fight and have to tame the spirit inside of her. And I would never want that like flame to be extinguished. So, but then again,
that's beautiful.
Yeah,
I feel like that's so beautiful, and that's so relatable. I think that we're always, again, a lot of the times this is directed toward women, that when we have these sort of, I mean, a lot of times like quirky is a word that like is always thrown around.
Yeah.
Quirky,
which encapsulates like, so much.
I'm trying to think of all these like typical labels that people put on women, but I think in the essence, what it is this fire, whether it's, you know, an intelligence, a strength, like feistiness, or, you know, and whatever it is. And it's always is trying to be stifled and put out. And it is so hard in life to balance that, right? It's so put out our fires without losing ourselves completely.
Yeah, 100%. And I think about, you know, maybe times in my life and a lot of other times in, you know, my friend's life, it's like, oh, she's quite sassy, or she's, you know, very assertive, and I'm meant to take the criticism that I'm assertive and then turn that into being passive. Like, no, I'm an assertive person, and that is strength, and that's okay, you know, like it is. And I see, like what you were saying at the beginning of this, you know, like these words that are used for women, it's like, you know, being bossy or being these things that I'm then expected to still hold my power, but do it in a way that is palatable for you. No, like, like
it's
that's
like impossible. It's like you're asking someone to do the impossible. And also it's like you want to find that, you want any sort of self-improvement and self-discovery to kind of come within at the end of the day. I think that that's what is really precious about the series as well, is that there's a lot of opinions floating around, but there's also moments, like I love how there's moments where y'all just like go, I need to take a walk, or I'm going to go run, or I'm going to go that way, and to self-reflect. There's a lot of self-reflection. I think that's so important, which when we have this noise of the outside world, I think for women, we tend to get into these boxes where we no longer can self-reflect. And that's where like the fires are put out in this sort of dangerous way, or we're suffocated, or whatever it is.
And I think also I see on the island, you know, with all these women, and that's so true for, you know, obviously our life as well. It's like they cannot expect themselves to be anything else but themselves. And to expect anything else of yourself, you're setting yourself up for failure, you know, like you are you, that is your entire capability as a person, is to you know, and like there's, and to not be that, or to try to be something else, you're setting yourself up for failure. So I'm just like, you gotta do it fully. What else are you gonna do?
Oh man, no time like the present. All right, well, before we go, I just have a few quick fun questions. First of all, like I think Tony, the way that Tony eats Takis is like the same way I eat Takis, which is like, or I'm having like an orgasm eating Takis.
And it just has to.
It's like,
we can't get them in New Zealand.
No!
I know.
Send you some. Someone's got to send you some. My God, what? That's horrible. They're like, they're my kryptonite. They're so good. What's your like go-to snack?
Oh, see here. I've been living in Australia for the past year. This is so specific. Like New Zealand, bluebirds, chips, salt and vinegar specifically, like 2 bags.
Ooh.
Just get
Ooh,
it
I
done.
love a salt and
Mm.
vinegar. Ooh,
Oh,
yum.
yeah. Yeah.
Yum. All right.
That's
And
mine.
so, yeah, yum, yum, yum. Since the wilds, it's all about, we're talking about supporting women, uplifting each other, all that good stuff. Who would you like to uplift today? Who's a woman
Oof.
in front of the camera, behind the camera that everyone should have on their radar? And you don't have to pick one, but it's just, time
Yeah.
to sort of recognize
Mm.
our
I think
ladies.
maybe someone that I admire.
Mm.
So maybe not somebody, that I personally know. So if they ever see this, it's a bit weird. Um, um, Stefania Owen, who is in episode 8, her performance was so magic, and I know she spent a lot of time in New Zealand as well. So my New Zealand, my New Zealand acting sister, Stefania Owen, I lift you
Ooh,
up today.
I love that. All right, everyone, look out. Episode 8, her performance. Yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Um, oh, I love that. I just think it's just fun to just take that moment, give our sisters a shout out.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah. Well, this was so fun.
It was
I'm so
lovely chatting
glad you
with
were
you.
my first.
I know. I feel so blessed.
Run first, baby.
I know.
Anyways, this was so lovely. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. I don't know what
Of
time it is
course.
there for you.
Oh,
Is
11:30.
it
I'm gonna
late?
go
Is
and
it
have some
early?
lunch.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
perfect timing. You've nailed
Oh,
it.
all right. Well, very sweet. And gosh, I love this series so much. Everyone's got to
Thank
just
you.
binge it. And you can. It's all available right now on Prime
Mate,
Video. Thank God.
get it.
None of
Yeah.
this teasing shit of like,
Nah,
give me
just
3
go
episodes, make me
straight
wait.
in.
No. Yeah.
Nah. I'm thrilled you
Oh, well,
enjoy it.
yes, I love it. And just thank you so much. And I hope we can chat again soon.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right. Well,
Brilliant.
enjoy the rest of your day, night, morning,
Have a good day,
whatever time
everybody.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there
Cool,
anyone
nice.
you want to give? Does anyone comment? Anyone have any questions really quick before we go? Just a lot of love, a lot of support.
Oh my God, so much love and support. You guys are crazy. I love it.
Don't
Mwah, mwah,
we?
mwah, mwah,
All
mwah.
right. Well, thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in and nice chatting with you, Meg.
Oh my gosh, I love this. I literally could go on and on, but they won't let me. They're like, keep it. Just
But we
kidding.
gotta go.
All right. All
Brilliant.
right. Stay safe.
You too.